I'm the program leader for Fashion Textile Design, and I'm just going to take you through a quick taster session demo as such of some of the things that we do. The major thing about our course is the human body in some variation, whether men's or women's. Essentially, that's what we're trying to do. We're also trying to work with materials. What we have here is a simple pleated piece of paper, and we also deal in the print side of the course with image. And our job over the course of 3 years is to teach you how to get all three things to interact. So what I'm going to do here is a little bit of a demo of how we manipulate the idea, and you can call it illustration, you could call it like a working idea. Well, what we have here is a copied version of that piece of paper that's been superimposed and scaled down to fit approximately the torso of this mannequin. I've also taken another version of the same image and I've cut it in sections, and I have essentially placed it, inverted it, flipped it. So if you notice, this bit here is an invert, a flipped version of this section here, and it's been enlarged and it's just been placed and carefully hidden underneath that other version. And then the other part of it, the central part of that top image, is being also enlarged and placed underneath. So essentially what we have here is a very, very quick idea as such of what it could be on the body. Now at the minute, if we zoom in, we've got a very ugly bit going on here. So what we need to do, I suppose, is create some form of neckline just to try to give it a little bit of normality. And if we just select that top layer, we can just copy and delete. We can also manipulate a little bit more, but for this purpose, we can just deselect and kind of have a little look. And we can see we've got a bit of a neckline. This is quite ugly. So what we can do is we can just very, very quickly trim off that section. And again, we can just delete. So we got a bit of a top and a bit of a skirt. Now we need a little bit of adjustment here, because what we're going to have to do is create some masks to try and get the image onto these areas. And a very simple thing to do is to create a new layer, okay, which is essentially a sheet of acetate with nothing on it. It's just sitting on top, and we're going to click the magic wand tool on the layer which contains this central piece, and we're going to select around the image, and we're going to quickly paint that in, but on this top layer here, layer 5, and we're just going to click around it, and then we're going to switch it off, and then we're going to repeat the process. But for the lower parts, what we'll do though is we'll get layer 4, which is this one I'm switching off and on, layer 3, and we'll combine them together, and we'll merge them into one object. And then we'll do the same process. We'll just quickly create a new layer. We shall magic wand around that object, and we shall paint bucket in a different color on that layer, layer 6, and then we'll switch it off. If we deselect and go back to layer 5, switching it back on, we can see that it's covered everything. But if we switch off the layer that it was around, you can see that it's around that object. So there's a space in the middle, and we're going to magic wand the space in between. Paint bucket that. Okay, and we can see what happens, but we need another layer, because what we need to do is have that object on its own. And now we can delete layer 5. We no longer need the outside. So we go there and we can quickly come here and say delete layer, yes. And then we repeat the process for layer 6. Again, magic wanding the space, this window that's here, and paint bucket that the blue, but we'll create a new layer first. And then we'll get rid of that layer. Now if we switch on the two layers, you can see we've got the silhouette of the objects and we have the objects. So what we'll do now is we'll magic wand the bottom object and we'll go here to this image, which is the image that we want to copy and paste on top of our new image here. And we use paste into, and you can see it up paste into the space. So we select. So there we go. What we'll do is we'll switch these off. Magic wand. Go to the red layer. One magic wand, and we'll do the same again. And we'll scale this top image so we can see that there's a little bit of difference to that. So we go to transform, we go to scale, we zoom out so we can see the whole image. And making sure that the mask itself is switched off, we can then blend the layer with the object that it is superimposed upon. Giving us some idea or impression that it's actually a real object. Now, to make it obvious, I'm just going to invert this background quickly so we can see that there is some sense of realism here. You can see it's superimposed across that, and by just moving around, getting sort of a better positioning, what we're actually trying to do is decide on the placement of the image, how it works best upon the body. Is it the right scale? But it is a working tool as such rather than a design or an illustration. It's just something that could be used to gauge a sense of whether or not it actually works as a concept or an idea, whether it's big enough, whether the color is working right. So we might want to invert this color and say, no, actually I don't want the same idea on both. Or we can undo that and just go, right, no, it works fine as the purple, so we just go back and invert it back. It's just about positioning. So that gives you a quick idea of some of the ideas that we're trying to work with on the course, but essentially it's a working tool to show you that we're trying to work with material and image. So a student should be able to take this method and apply it actually to a real mannequin and a real piece of material. Again, manipulating, forming, but this is a way of kind of not making product as much, trying to work more in a sustainable way to kind of plan out what you're going to do before you do it. And it's very, very simple, and it just requires a couple of pieces of paper and the actual image that you want to manipulate.